lovelies, so today I'm going to do a video on how to deal with disappointing people. So this is a video that came about because in the Choose to Rise group we're doing Self-Love-Tember, so I asked if anybody had any questions, and this was a question that came up by the beautiful Perry. She basically asked about, how you deal with sort of disappointing people when you're really just trying your best, and you're only human, so you can't always live up to everybody's expectations. I paraphrased a bit then, but that was basically the question. Now this question I thought was so beautiful because this is something that I've definitely experienced and also very recently experienced it, and it's hard. It's really, really hard. It's painful. Like, I can't even deny that. Like, I don't have, if I'm honest, all the answers because I've recently just been going through this. But what I can share with you is what's helped me and what I know to be true, and hopefully that will help you, even if it's just a little bit. Hopefully that will help you. So first of all, I want to say, give yourself a big hug and know you are worthy, know you are good enough. The fact that anybody who's watching this video is watching this video, so you're watching this video, means you care, means you've done your best, but ultimately it's got to the point where you feel like your best is not good enough. Let yourself off the hook and just remember that you are worthy, you are good enough, and that it's okay to disappoint some people. Give yourself permission to disappoint people, because it is way, way, way better to not be loved for who you are than to be loved for somebody you're not. Now I also want to say, sometimes we can disappoint people who actually really do love us, so kind of be aware of the difference. If it's somebody who doesn't really, really love you unless you're kind of doing what they want, now that's quite a toxic place to be, so kind of love yourself enough to kind of give that a bit of space. If it's somebody that generally really does love you and feels disappointed in you, remember it's okay to disappoint somebody. That I don't care if this is how close this person is to you, whether it's a husband, whether it's a parent, I don't think it matters, because what I know to be true is that happiness is an inside job, and we take people's power away when we try and make everybody happy. Now this doesn't mean you don't show up and you don't be loving and you don't do things for other people. Of course you do, absolutely, that is love. But if it gets to the point where you're really, really trying and it doesn't feel enough, no, it's okay to then disappoint that person, because just keep trying to go and to keep striving and to keep trying to prove yourself and to keep bettering yourself is really, really toxic for you, and it's toxic for them. It's toxic for them because they will then always be disappointed. They will never be fully fulfilled, because when you're expecting everybody to do things your way to be happy, you'll never be happy, because happiness is from within. So kind of let yourself off the hook and kind of go, okay, if they're disappointed in me, that's okay. Remember, it's not personal. I've talked about not taking things personally before. If you're in the Choose to Rise Facebook group, Celine did a video on that as well. Even if it can feel like it's directed at you, no, it's not. People are the way they are from, their past experiences, the way they were brought up, sometimes cultural stuff. So just know, even if it feels like it's perceived onto you, that it's not. And our only job really is to kind of show up and to be loving. So yeah, it's absolutely okay to disappoint people. Let yourself off the hook. Let yourself off the hook from being a people pleaser, and catch yourself out when you're kind of feeling a little bit crap about something because somebody said something to you, and you start thinking, oh my gosh, I'm really trying, I've kind of done my best. Stop yourself in your tracks and say, I don't need to please this person. Even if it's somebody you love, like, you can show up and you can be loving and you can care for somebody, and you know, you can be in a really great relationship with somebody and still not be at their beck and call and always trying to please them. That is not love. Even when you're in love and you love somebody, if you have to do X, Y, and Z to keep that person happy, know that one of the most loving things you can do in that relationship is go no and communicate with them. Like, not everybody we can communicate with, depends on the scenario, but if it is somebody you can communicate with, you need to sit down and you need to have that difficult conversation. No, that takes a great amount of strength, because we can get the two confused. Sometimes saying we need help and we can't do it all, we can think it's weakness because we can compare it to other people who do seem to be able to do it all. But actually know that your strengths obviously lie elsewhere. And that's when you need to love yourself enough to not compare yourself and say, this is me, I'm finding this really difficult. And you gotta communicate. You gotta show up with love. And you have to talk. And you have to be brave enough to do that. Because this is where we have to take responsibility for kind of our karma in our lives. So I talked about this again in the Choose to Rise group, that sometimes we'll be presented with kind of situations literally to choose to rise where we won't feel supported and we won't feel enough, and the evidence will come to kind of back that theory up. But that's only coming because it's our opportunity to go, this is not true, I am enough, I've got this. But if every time, like, you know, somebody makes you feel that you're not doing enough and you believe that, you're going to attract more of that. So when you kind of feel like in a situation where you feel like you've disappointed somebody, you've really got two options: to either go, okay, I've disappointed them, and actually I want to do better, I want to do that because that feels good to me. That's when you can let the guilt go and change it with action. Or you can kind of go, no, doing X, Y, and Z doesn't feel good to me, and I'm here to be the love and to love myself. So actually, I'm going to be okay with disappointing you. I'm going to love myself enough to kind of go, no, I'm not doing this. And then, like I say, depending on the person, that's when you need to talk. You need to communicate. You need to love yourself enough to be you in that moment and kind of say, this is me, this is what I've got. Because as I say, it's better to be loved for who you are than to be loved for somebody who you're not. So love yourself enough to know you can be you and you can be loved. And if somebody doesn't love you for who you are, take a step back. Like, love yourself enough to do that. You are not here to please everybody. You are not here to be a people pleaser. You are here to love yourself. And when you truly, truly love yourself, then more loving circumstances will come to you. But if you don't really, really love yourself, then you can't expect anybody else to. So you have to know that you've done a good job, that you've got this, that you are doing great things, and none of those great things come from doing X, Y, and Z. Like, that's just somebody else's perception, and it's not our job to convince them otherwise. That's their stuff. Ultimately, it's none of our business. So catch yourself out when you're feeling a bit crap and going, am I trying to make sure this person is satisfied what I've done? Am I trying to please this person? Am I trying to prove myself? Like, let go of the people pleasing, let go of the striving, and just be you, because you've got this. Like, what you do is already good enough. And if some people are disappointed in you, that's okay. Like, give yourself permission for some people to be disappointed in you, for some people to think you've done a crap job, because that's their perception and it's none of your business. It's none of my business what people think of me. Like, it is my business to be in charge and control of what I think of me, and it's your business to be in charge of what you think of you. And at any point you can decide to say, I've done a good job. And at any point you can decide not to compare yourself to somebody else. So be loving, and, you know, don't justify yourself. I'm not saying don't take responsibility for your actions. So if you know you've messed up and you haven't done something, hold your hands up. That's a really self-loving thing to do, and say, really sorry, I'm going to put this right. But if you know, like, you've genuinely done your best, or you've made a mistake and stuff, you're only human, so that's okay. So just say, you know, okay, but don't add any drama to it. Don't take it on. Don't take it on as like, I haven't done enough, because you absolutely have. And if it's somebody that doesn't really matter, who gets in a bit of a shitty mood with us, just kind of smile and kind of be the love, show up, don't take any drama, and let it go, because you're not here to be a people pleaser. You're here to love yourself. So I hope that was helpful. As I say, I don't have this one nailed myself, because I like making people happy, and I sometimes disappoint people, but what I'm really working on is loving myself enough to know that that's okay. So, and I know that's the right thing to do, so that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to ask you to love yourself enough to know that you are loving, you are doing a great job, and if somebody's disappointed in you, that's okay. And I'll see you in a video soon.